Hey, you pointed out one of our traders on Twitter. Ted Cruz said Joe Biden becoming president is the best thing to happen to Vladimir Putin. And you say this is what happens when you bathe in the Flavor Aid every morning.
Yeah.
I mean, it really up is down. Like Trump was not the Putin puppet. Oh, I see. For sure.
And you'll note that I always use the correct substance when I make those jokes. It was not Kool-Aid.
Flavor Aid.
Flavor Aid, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that correction. I appreciate it. Okay, so Charlie, I just was saying, I don't know how. You don't need to be an expert to go like, Putin got his money's worth, right? It wasn't just Trump. He co-opted an entire party. He has an entire network here that does all of his talking points. No wonder he's emboldened. It's like Fiona Hill said. Trump emboldened him. Trump never made one move that was for America. It was always what was best for him.
I'm hearing the argument from a lot of toadies that, look, this never happened when Trump was president. It didn't have to happen when Trump was president. Putin didn't have to expend any energy when Trump was president.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, the co-opting of the entire Republican Party and Fox News Network tells him, he's what do you think emboldens him? He knows that they're going to do his talking points without him doing a thing.
Sure, and it's completely astonishing to me now. I didn't think I could, continue to be astonished at how thoroughly he's captured the Republicans, but this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, Ronald Reagan would be, gobbling jelly beans with both hands if you were alive to see this.
Yeah. Yes. For this, also for our autocratic thug, which, by the way, you had a very happy headline. The entire scummy infrastructure of Trump's business career is beginning to crumble.
Yes.
You said New York Attorney General Letitia James has most of the former First Family halfway up the tree, and on Thursday, most of the former First Family heard the branches creak. I just like that the whole visual. You said not just evidence, copious evidence. Copious from the Latin meaning busted, dude. Oh, we made something for you. Yes, it does mean the Latin of busted. Take down, you're busted. I made that for you. Yeah, I made that for you.
Thank you very much. I am honored by Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes.
You said pending a useless appeal, which the former First Family undoubtedly will lose. Not only what do you call him? Del Mar-a-Lago. Sure. But also his son Sluggo and Ivanka will have to put their hands on the Bible, and assuming it doesn't burst into flames on the spot, they will have to answer for a couple of lifetimes worth of deceit, and they will do so in the full knowledge that as AG, James has the power to dissolve corporate entities found to have engaged in widespread fraud. As she did Trump Charity and Trump University, right?
Foundation, exactly. Yeah, she means business. I haven't been keeping track of what's going on in Georgia with that lawsuit, but Letitia James is looking for heads to hang on the den wall.
Yeah. Well, you said it's been fascinating to watch all the scams and dodges he's used to build his fabulous career suddenly fall away as all the phantom mechanisms driving that career became visible and as a result evaporate. The entire infrastructure of his life is crumbling. He presides over rubble now, the ruler of a kingdom made of bones. I love your writing. By the way, is this morning's stack? U.S. Supreme Court formally ends Trump's fight over Capitol attack records. Yep. He is just not having a good legal week or two, is he? I mean, you're right. It does have
he doesn't have a leg to stand on. I mean, he's got no case against any of this.
Right. But
for years, his legal strategy has been, if I don't have a case, I'm just going to string the process along until people get bored, tired, or run out of money, and they give up, and I can go on my merry way.
Yeah.
The government doesn't run out of money.
Something everybody else said, like, oh my God, are these guys ever going to answer for everything? And I think you're right. It's the legal process does take a long time, but you're right. It's like one by one, it has that feeling of all his protections and things he's always had just crumbling. They're crumbling away.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's why the original 5 families tried to, on penalty of death sometimes, tried to stay out of the drug trade, because the drug trade drew the feds, and the feds don't run out of money.
Yeah.
And that's why Carlo Gambino, made it a death sentence if you dealt drugs, because it would bring too much attention. Now you're seeing it again. I mean, Trump is relying on legal strategies that have no relevance to a federal prosecution.
You remember that in Godfather? Do you have the music? You remember that? Chris hasn't seen. Have you seen The Godfather now? Chris has never seen The Godfather.
For the 80th time, yes, I have.
Now he has.
I saw it 5 years ago.
Yeah, right. Okay. But as what's his name? As The Godfather.
He's so upset he's just walked away.
As The Godfather once said, it's a dirty business. This drug business. Am I doing that right? I don't. Is that the line? Something.
I don't know what the chin stroking part was.
Yeah.
I was talking to Sonny. He was talking to Sonny. It's a dirty business. Okay. No, you're right. We hear the same thing from Glenn Kirshner, that, he was prosecuting a case for 2 years where they were saying, oh, justice, they're not doing anything. And that's how long it took. And then justice came all at once.
This isn't justice. This is the New York Attorney General.
Yeah.
Not the Department of Justice. There are absolutely no political considerations in chasing him down on a state level about his business.
Okay. By the way, I quoted you earlier before we talked to you. You said there are those of us who have said for years the real target of the anti-choice right was Griswold and the right to privacy therein. And here we go. Right?
It's happening in Michigan right now.
Yes. Yes.
And this has been. For as long as I've been covering politics, which goes back to 1980, pretty much 79 or 80, the Republican Party has denied the existence of a right to privacy of any kind. In the Constitution. The Roe just put a sharp edge on it, but they don't believe in a right to privacy for anything. Search warrants, surveillance, electronic surveillance now, internet searches, library cards. They don't believe that right exists in the Constitution because it's not specifically mentioned.
Yeah.
And now, without going after Griswold, basically, in Roe. And they know Roe is going away at the latest next November, and then they can move on, and they're already preparing to move on.
Charlie, are you as annoyed as I am by the punditry that the midterms have already happened and Democrats have already lost? As you're talking about this, and I keep hearing in my head, oh, these cultural issues, these culture wars, the Democrats have to, get in front of this. Well, all of these things are wildly unpopular. Right? When you're talking about banning Roe v. Wade, contraception, if you talk about how extreme the right really is, book burning.
Right. The Republicans have succeeded with it for so long that I don't know what, right now, today, in fact, if you look on the wires, Rick Scott has proposed an 11-point plan for taking back America. Remarkably, one of the 11 points is not Medicare fraud, but it's all culture war stuff. It's all
his area of expertise.
A ridiculous, a ridiculous concentration on what's happening with your kids' genitals, basically.
Yeah.
And that's the new plan.
Yeah.
That's the plan for the midterms.
But how remarkably, again...
He's the head of the National Republican Senatorial Committee.
Mm-hmm.
But again, how remarkably unpopular, this whole don't say gay and this thing that you can out kids. It's just, it is incredibly mean-spirited. And I don't know. We have to frame them as the Handmaid's Tale party. That's all I can.
They have to. The majority, which is on one side of this issue, has to get out and vote. That's the only answer.
Yeah.
I wish there was another answer, but it's not. If whatever the ridiculous number is now that support Roe v. Wade, which is basically abortion with certain restrictions, as redefined in the Casey decision, then get out there and vote. You get out there and vote your interest. If you're really that serious about it, show up. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know any other way to say that.
Yep.
And I'm sure when you have my buddy Jamie Harrison on again, he'll say the same thing.
Yeah. Well, also, we keep saying we're not going to get help from the mainstream media. We have to do it. Thank you for your piece. You said the CNN report on Hillary Clinton manages to find a new wrong way to cover her. You said you'd think that after trying various wrong ways to cover Hillary for going over 30 years, they might have run out by now, but apparently they're still adding pages to the old hymnal. HRC delivered this. It was barn burner. Thank you. A great speech calling out Trump and the Republican Party, Fox News, etc. And you said, here's CNN deciding the day's story was that 4 years ago, HRC enthusiastically endorsed Andrew Cuomo. You're like, what? does that have to do with anything she said, right? You said HRC remains an important voice in our politics, regardless of how she's viewed in various green rooms and the salons of the Church of the Savvy. At her best, she enrages all the right people and says what needs to be said in the political moment. And as Brendan Behan used to say, F the begrudgers, of whom there apparently are an endless supply. I mean, it really is amazing.
I thought that the endless Hillary obsession would end when she lost the presidency.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. You've got an entire and I believe this to be absolutely true. You've got an entire generation of political reporters whose fundamental political beliefs were shaped during the impeachment of Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they can't let it go. Just as you had an entire generation of political reporters whose attitude towards the profession was shaped by Watergate, which was a much more serious thing. I don't know. I mean, that piece, I know CNN is sensitive about Andrew Cuomo and his brother. Okay, I understand that, and maybe an editor got a hold of that piece, but burying what she said about Fox, your primary competitor, I might add, as far down in the pieces as they did, made absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. Have I ever mentioned that I will die mad over what happened to Hillary? In 2016,
a couple of times,
among others. Okay. Yeah.
I hope at some point when, you're on your deathbed, you're only like slightly irked.
It's mildly annoyed still.
Or a little bit.
But even today's news, you just bring up the Clintons. The fact that Bill Clinton was impeached over a consensual BJ. And if you'll recall, what do you call it? Trump was impeached over withholding aid to Ukraine. Everything that's happening in the world now is, as Fiona Hill, is happening because Trump emboldened Putin and, who obviously got a whole party and a network in the bargain. So here we are again.
Yeah, they don't even need RT anymore.
No. They use Tucker Carlson clips to fill their time.
Money at this time.
Yeah.